Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I have a slight cold. I'm not happy about it. I have a slight cold which is saturated like here. So I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to talk, but I'm gonna try my best. So welcome to my channel. I am Caspian and I read a lot of books, and this is my February wrap up. And my last wrap up I did I scrolled through my reading journal for you. I'm not gonna do that today. I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about the books that I read and focus on the statistics of it. And yeah, because you know what books I read. Because I update you like once a week or twice a week about the books I read. So this is just gonna be probably a shorter video, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So I just sat with this. I haven't filled out my reading journal completely yet. I read library books, and when I read them I tab, and then if I don't have time to sit with my reading journal before the book is due to the library, I take photos of all the pages with tabs before I remove the tabs. So I have like my camera roll filled with just book pages with quotes and other things that I want to put in my reading journal. But what I did manage to do was dedicate the areas in the reading journal to each book that I read, and I have put in like the rating and the genres, and yeah, that's basically it, because I don't really keep that much stats as it is now. I would like to keep stats over where in the world the authors are from, so that is a project that I will take on soon, I hope. I'm just still looking for a perfect map to put in the beginning, and I just can't seem to find it and make it the proper size. And now, unfortunately, my writer, is that a word? My copy machine slash writer slash scanner is out of ink, so it's just upside down. So in February I read, okay, so today when I'm doing this, it's the 28th of February, so I know that I'm not gonna finish any more books this month. I am currently reading one, but I'm gonna talk about that in my next video with my TBR for March. So in February I read 9 books, which is one less than my usual. I usually read around 10 to 12 books a month, but it's okay. I'm not sad about it. It's just I was just surprised. I was like, is that it? But I have to remember that I tried 2 other books as well. So this month I am gonna start in the backwards or something. I DNF'd 1 book, and I talked about it in one of the videos, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I DNF'd When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I just found out it wasn't really for me. I'm not into that kind of romance that I saw building, and there were 2 main reasons. I really just clashed, like my personality and what I like did not mesh or gel with the main character, the female main character. I didn't like her at all, and I just couldn't get past that. And then on top of that, how she and the love interest started their interactions, it gave me an ick. I couldn't let it go, and I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done. So that was sad, because it was the second time I attempted that book. The first time I had high hopes, but I didn't have time to read it, so I stopped like 60 pages in, and this time I read a lot more than that. But yeah, no. And then I paused one book, which is Malice by John Gwynne. So I'm gonna get back to that at a later date. It was just too heavy, too thick for me to get through this month. So that is on my pause list. So yeah. I read 9 books. I read 4 YA, or young adult. I read 4 adult and 1 new adult. So when it comes to the genres, let's see if I have everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So it was like a split. It was more diverse this time than my usual reading. I didn't read as much like pure fantasy that I usually have been doing in the last few months prior to this. So or it's just maybe my definition, because I have chosen now to put like a genre list and just pick one major genre for each book, and then I have like a minor genre list, like if there's one book that fits more genres but it's like, yeah, a little bit less, then so I pick one genre for each book, and then I put another one in the minor genre list just to see what I read. So in my major genre list I had, so the 9 books are divided into 2 paranormal, and for me paranormal is like, well, it has to be categorized as it on Goodreads first of all. Sometimes books are categorized as paranormal and fantasy both, but for me paranormal is like when we live in this reality and there's just a slight, like it's a step above magic realism, and for me it has to be like a fantasy feeling for it to be fantasy. So I read 2 books that I thought were more of a paranormal nature, and then I read 2 sci-fis. So those were my 2 biggest genres. And then I read one of each of one historic novel, 1 mystery novel, 1 fantasy, 1 magical realism, 1 romance. So if we lump together magical realism, paranormal, and fantasy, that is 4 books. Yeah, so I'm gonna... What I was really sad about was that I could only find 1 book this month that had like LGBTQ plus representation in it. So that was kind of weird. I also found like the same was true for January when I looked it up. So I have been doing worse in reading books with fair representation. This month I did, however, read 1 book with disability representation, so that was great. That's pat on the back, you know. Okay, so jokes aside, the books I read this month gave me what's the word? My average rating was 4.22 stars. And I was surprised by the high rating because I thought I read a bunch of half crappy books. But I finished off the month on a high note. So my last 3 books of the month were 5 stars. And then I had 1 other 5 star in the beginning of the month. And those really pulled the statistics up. So this is a wrap up of the titles and the ranking. So I read Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Gave it 4 stars. I read The Secret Bookshop, I think that's the English title, and gave it 5 stars. That's by Evie Woods. Then I read Beautiful Redemption in Swedish, the 4th book in the Caster Chronicles, and I gave it 3 stars. And then I read the 3rd book in House of Night series, and I gave it 2 stars, and I DNF'd that series. So I end that series with that one. It's not worth it for me anymore. It was a reread, so I'm not that sad about it. I will keep my memories of it from the first time I read it and kind of have those. I won't read it again. It hasn't aged well. And then I read Final Gambit, the third book in the Inheritance Games, and I gave it a 4.5 stars. And then I read Jul I Krinolin, and it's a Swedish historical fiction, and that is the one with the disability rep. The girl in the female main character had a disability. And then that one that's also LGBTQ, because there are a queer couple in that one as well. And then I read Wisteria, the third book in the Belladonna series, and I gave it a 5 star, which was so amazing because I gave it only 2 stars to Foxglove last month. So I'm so happy I read it. I can actually see myself rereading the whole series now that I know what Wisteria is like. Now that I know the ending of it, I can reread the book, the two other books maybe, and read the whole series again in the light of the relationship in the third book. So I might actually do that at some point. Maybe not soon, but I might. And then I finished off the month with the two last books of the Themis files. That was the last video I shared with you guys. I talked about Waking Gods and Only Human by Sylvain Neuvel. So that's 2 sci-fi books, and I really that was my I don't know what this is, but that was my highlight of the month. I think I had a lot of highlights of this month. I think my low point of the month was reading House of Night and give it a 2 star because I was so disappointed. But then I really enjoyed Addicted to You, and I'm actually reading the second book in that series right now into March. I liked it so much that I immediately borrowed the other one from the library as soon as I could. So that's always a good sign. So I finished, I would say that because I don't know if you count the Hawthorne Brothers and the fifth book, or like as a part of the Inheritance Games, or if that's another series, because if it's not another series, then I actually finished 3 series this month. I finished the Inheritance Games with the Final Gambit. Maybe I didn't, because there are 2 more books, but and then I finished the Belladonna series, and I finished the Themis files, and I'm so happy about that. Oh, and I finished the Chronicles. Jösses, as we say in Swedish. So yeah, that's kind of my stats for this month. So 9 books, average rating 4.2 stars, a mix of different genres, but mostly within the ones I normally read. And then I DNF'd 1 book, I paused 1 book, and there were 2 books with LGBTQ rep and 1 with disability rep. I need to do better on that. And in my next video I'm gonna talk about, probably my next video is gonna be my TBR for March, and yeah, it's gonna be a bit different for me in March, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about that when I tell you about those books. I don't think I'm gonna record that video today because of my throat, but we'll see. I wish you a wonderful day and happy reading, and that's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna take a nice cup of green tea. I'm out of honey, and I'm probably gonna do some herbal tea, like peppermint and maybe lavender. Yeah, I think so. And then I'm gonna keep reading the Addicted series. That's where I'm at. Where are you? What was your highlight of February? I don't know what my favorite book of February was. I'm gonna do like one of those brackets at the end of the year, but I'm gonna have to think a little bit about what book I really enjoyed the most, because I did have like 5 I had 4 or 5 stars. The Secret Bookshop, Wisteria, and then Waking Gods, and Only Human. If I'm gonna go by emotional response, because I'm an emotional reader, then I would say one of the Themis files, because I couldn't stop laughing. My belly ached. So maybe one of those, but we'll see. I will get back to you on that one by like a mid-year wrap-up or something. And that's a few months away, so. What was your favorite of February? Do you have any recommendations for me to try out? I will see you in my next video. Happy reading. Xingling!